Hi, I'm Dr. Karen Hills Pruden, a career elevation expert for female middle managers seeking senior leadership positions. Today, I want to talk to you about the twin powers of analytics and business decisions. As an entrepreneur, it is our job to create new business opportunities and to generate more revenue and to predict future trends and optimize our operational efforts. And we need to do all that while producing actionable insights. And so you want your business to grow and evolve over time. You don't want it to become stagnant. And so Carly Fiorini says that the goal is to turn data into information and then turn that information into insight. In other words, don't just collect data for the sake of collecting data. You collect data to inform you of something. And then, as part of that information, you need to glean what is it telling you? What is the data telling you? Is it telling you where you're spending your money? Is it telling you where you should spend your money? Um, is it telling you how much money you're spending on different things? Is it telling you that you're spending too much money on any one particular thing? Is it telling you that you're not spending enough money in one particular category? And so you want to turn data into information and then turn information into insight. And so I'm going to talk to you briefly about data and how to use data to inform you in making your business decisions. And so every time I say something that resonates with you, I want you to type no excuses in the chat. For those of you who know me, my mantra is no excuses, make it happen. And so whenever I say something that resonates with you, type no excuses in all caps in the chat. So, who am I? I am Dr. Karen Hills Pruden. I am known as the career elevation expert for female middle managers seeking senior leadership positions. I have spoken to entrepreneurs and women internationally as far as Pretoria, South Africa. And I speak to women about being a woman in leadership. I am also a C suite executive. A lot of my clients aspire to be in the C suite. And for those of you who don't know what a C suite executive is, a C suite executive is the highest position within your company for that particular area. For instance, I am a chief human resource officer. I oversee the human resources department. You also have a position, you might have a chief marketing officer. You may have a chief information officer. You may have a chief operations officer. You may have a chief executive officer. You may have all different types of chiefs, but they are generally the most senior position within your company. Some companies have the position title of director or vice president as the most senior company. But in any case, a C suite executive is your most senior leader in the organization. And so I teach female professionals who aspire to be the most senior leaders how to get there. I help them demystify the employment process for senior leadership positions. And so that is what I do. I am also in corporate America, but I am also an entrepreneur. Yes, my consultant business is where I teach these women how to excel to the C-suite. And so today, as we talk about analytics and business decisions, I'm going to share with you some of the things that I've learned along the way as an entrepreneur. And so we're actually going to talk about five tips for an enhanced data driven decision making strategy. Yes. And those five tips are: define your goals before collecting your data. Yes, you want to determine your goals before you collect your data. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. Also, we're going to talk about find unresolved questions with the use of data. Also, we're going to talk about do not be afraid to revisit and reevaluate your data. It's not a one and done situation. And so we're going to talk about under what instances you would want to reevaluate and revisit your data. We're going to talk about avoid going with your gut instinct. And there's a term called cooking the data. So we're going to talk about avoid going with your gut instinct and cooking the data. And then five, we're going to talk about how to continue to evolve um, when you make your business decision. And so those are the five things that we're going to talk about. Now, just want to be very transparent here. This topic is near and dear to my heart. You know, I recently celebrated my 6th year business anniversary. Yay for me. And my clients are corporate female managers who obviously aspire to be in the C suite. And this is a very specific client. And for the first 3 years, I spent thousands of dollars attending events, flying all across this great nation, attending every speaking engagement that would accept me. At that time, I did not track the monies that I spent as I traveled. And I did not inquire about the demographics of the participants to which I would be speaking. And so I did not have one consultant client during those years. And, you know, I learned something during that time after doing my research that do you know that only 50% of small businesses are even still operating after 5 years? And so I did not want to be part of that statistic at all. And so I had to reevaluate how I was approaching my business decisions to avoid being in the wrong 50%. Absolutely. And so my plan to turn around my business was to use data. And this is when I began to use the data in my decision making. So, the first thing I mentioned previously is define your goals before collecting data. And so, you want to avoid following the hype of others. Just because every other entrepreneur is doing it does not mean that should be something that you are doing, because you want to set a specific strategy based on the needs of your business. And so you need to define clear performance, key performance indicators. And so when you define these key KPIs, they're known as KPIs, key performance indicators, then you want to avoid You want to make sure that they are quantifiable, actionable, and measurable. You want to make sure that the KPIs only measure the factors that are critical to your business, to the success of your business. You want to make sure that the KPIs are tied to your business goals. And so before you can tie them into your business goals, you have to create your business goals, correct? Absolutely. And using the KPIs, you should focus on between 5 to 3 metrics. You don't want to overwhelm yourself with monitoring a bunch of metrics. You want to identify 5 to 8 metrics that are important to you and your business, and those are the metrics that you want to monitor. And then you want to um, apply all of these KPIs throughout your business. For me personally, once I focused on the data and I defined how many clients I wanted to secure for each event I attended. And to do this, I inquired about the demographics of the participants before I accepted an invitation to speak. And if it was a conference for women, I asked what kind of woman. Were they corporate professionals or entrepreneurs? Because my avatar or my client are generally female professionals seeking senior leadership positions. So you want to define your goals before you collect data. Next, you want to find unresolved questions. Once my goals were defined, I had to ask questions to get the data for those questions. My clients, being middle managers seeking senior leadership positions, just asking if female corporate professionals were there, attendees at the event, was not enough. I needed seasoned female professionals looking for upward mobility because those are my clients. And so you would need to ask the same specific questions in regards to your business. Asking the right questions help us entrepreneurs focus on the right data, saving us time and saving us some of our hard-earned money. So you want to ask the right questions so that you can accumulate the right data. Second, and so that was the second thing. The third thing is do not be afraid to revisit and reevaluate the data. Sometimes we leap to conclusions and we are reluctant to even consider any alternatives. It has got to be this. It has got to be this. Well, it may not always be that. Um, and we don't want to revisit our first assessment because we want it to be what it is that we think it is, the assessment that we made originally. But sometimes you have to relook at the data and see what is it really telling you. We cannot be too committed to any direction that we have chosen based on the data, because sometimes we have to scrap our plans and start over. And you know what? That is okay. If that is a decision that you have to make for your business, that is indeed okay. Albert Einstein once stated that not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. Think about that. That's very profound. And so do not be afraid to revisit and reevaluate your data. Number 4, avoid going with your gut and cooking the data. Some entrepreneurs go with their instinct when making business decisions, and sometimes things may turn out okay, but you don't want to fully run your business on your gut feeling. We must avoid looking for data to support our gut. In other words, because we want to make a certain investment, because we want to attend a certain event. And then instead of looking at reading the insight from the data as it is, we look for data to support the outcome that we want. We don't want to do that. That's not something that we want to do. We must decide first, then attempt to make the data. We must avoid deciding first and then attempting to make the data match what it is that we want to have as an outcome. That is something that we do not want to do. And lastly, we must use the RAP method to make decisions. And you say, what is RAP, Karen? And I'll tell you, RAP means you must widen your options. You must do a reality test your assumptions. You must attain distance before deciding. Don't get too close to the data until you figure out what the insight is. And then here's the kicker: you must prepare to be wrong. Sometimes you have to see the data for what the insight, the information for what it is providing, what it's telling you. And it may mean that you are wrong, and you need to be prepared to be wrong so that you can make the right decision for your business. So avoid going with your gut and avoid looking for data to support your instinct or your gut feeling. And don't forget to use the RAP method. Widen your options, reality test your assumptions, attain distance before deciding, and then prepare to be wrong. And finally, continue to evolve your data um, with use in your business decisions. If you own a business, you will never be finished analyzing data. Never, ever, never, ever. Business goals must be refreshed and evolve regularly. And so, again, for the first 3 years of my business, I did not make a single dime. And that is no mucho dinero, no coins, no bag, whatever you want to call it. I did not make a dime. But that's because I was not incorporating data in my decision making. And so the last 2 years, I asked the right questions. I saw the data for what it was. I asked about attendee demographics. You know, I am now collecting data, through my CRM. Um, I am collecting data about income, age, years in a position, and now I let the data inform my decisions. I know what the data reveals, and I know how to use it in my business based on what it actually reveals. So I want you to make sure that you use analytics to inform you on making your business decisions. And I want you to define your goals before collecting data. Find unresolved questions. Do not be afraid to revisit and evaluate data. Avoid going with your gut and finding data that substantiates what you want it to substantiate, and continue to evolve your business. I am Dr. Karen Hills Pruden. I am known as the career elevation expert for female middle managers seeking senior leadership positions. I help women professionals demystify the senior leadership position. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Clubhouse. And you can find me at my website, Dr. Karen Hills Pruden, PRUDEN.com. Thank you.